going on, everyone? Sanjay Uchiha here. So welcome back to the channel, where today we'll be talking about Boruto episode 144. Of course, if you haven't checked out my initial video on the Mujina Bandits arc in the anime for Boruto, obviously, I would recommend checking that out. Since I haven't actually been reviewing a lot of the episodes to date so far, I actually covered up until episode 143 in terms of discussing my opinions and my impressions for the arc in the anime so far, and just a lot of behind the scenes stuff regarding them being an expanded look on the arc. So I would recommend checking that video out. Of course, I'll link it as a card and at the end of this video, but without further ado, let's get into it. Of course, be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. Appreciate all the supports. But anyway, episode 144 for the Boruto anime. I must say it was an interesting ride. Well, I guess it definitely picks up the pacing that 143 actually slowed down for the most part. With episode 143, we were kind of just stuck within the prison cell with Boruto and Mitsuki. For the most part, we didn't get a lot of Sarada. And if you watched said video that I mentioned in terms of my impressions, one thing I said about the arc overall is I think we need more Sarada in it to get just a more dynamic look. And I think this episode actually did a good job of actually introducing Sarada again and making use of her. But I think the thing I don't necessarily like about this episode, they didn't follow up on that plot point or that plot thread last week where we had Tsukuyo actually realize, or he basically knew that Sarada was a fake reporter. That plot thread didn't really go anywhere. They didn't follow up on that at all, which was pretty strange. But anyway, it is what it is. This episode for the most part still picks up the pacing as Boruto seeks to find out the information from Kokuri in terms of the the stolen money from the Mujina Bandits gang. And of course, we do get some backstory on Kokuri as well as like the conflict this episode is the fact that Benga, the warden of the prison, is trying to find out the relationship between Boruto and Kokuri. Of course, he still doesn't know that Boruto and Sarada and Mitsuki are hidden leaf ninja that are there on a mission to actually protect Kokuri and get information in the Mujina Bandits gang from him. So yeah, of course, at the same time, they have to kind of avoid Benga, while Benga is, still in talks with Tsukuyo regarding transferring Kokuri to Blood Prison number 2, which is wild. There's a Blood Prison number 2. You think they'll just call it Block 2, but is that they have an entirely different castle? That's wild to me. But I guess can hold all the prisoners in one castle, I guess. But anyway, this episode, the pacing improving. I'm not gonna lie, I really loved them using Sarada with the Genjutsu in this episode. Like at first, the scene where we got where it made it seem like Tsukuyo came in and was attacking Boruto and Kokuri. I legitimately thought that Boruto may just have created a shadow clone and he was just fighting himself just to get information out of Kokuri, because at this point they still don't know if Kokuri is trustworthy and they still feel like he's hiding information, which he was. So yeah, so I was surprised to see them start involving Sarada and using Genjutsu to get the information out of him. That was a very nice touch, I'm not going to lie. But with that said and done, we have most of Kokuri's backstory out of the way where this episode is concerned. And the thing I found really funny or interesting about Kokuri's backstory, and especially how he even landed in jail, it's kind of like it's kind of like they kind of touch on like I guess should I say a stereotype. I mean, if you go out in public and see like some guy and and a woman like wrestling with a bag or a purse, you may at first thought you might think it's the guy robbing the woman. But in this episode we have a situation like that, but apparently it was the woman that was robbing the guy, and then of course Kokuri is labeled as her accomplice and gets landed in jail for aggravated assault and robbery. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting touch, a very interesting thing to do. of course, it's probably not as deep as I'm looking into it, but I just found it funny, and I guess it's something that you could relate to in real life if you were to ever see a situation like that take place before your eyes. So yeah. So the thing I like about this episode, the fact that we have most of Kokuri's backstory out of the way right now. We basically are fast tracking and getting ever so closer to them reaching the section of the arc that was actually in the manga, because even though the arc so far has been good and it has a vibe, I think the best thing is not to drag it out too much. And with next week's episode, it seems like we're going to start working on getting Kokuri back to the village, and if I'm a betting man, it's when they actually manage to do that, then we'll actually transition to the manga side, the manga events being adapted into the anime. As I've said, even in my impressions video, the fact that they're expanded the arc plays a dual role. It gives us more information and, you know, an extended look on the Mujina Bandits themselves, but at the same time, you can't fool yourself and you have to acknowledge the fact that it's still padding, especially since the arc is very short in the manga. It's about 5 to 6 chapters, so yeah, they could basically breeze through the content for the manga in probably about, you know, probably about 6 to 7 episodes. So if we had started it, we probably would almost be done and moving on to the OW arc for, you know, of course those who read the manga know how it goes already. So that's really and truly it. So yes, I do appreciate the purpose and role of this expanded look, but I just hope it doesn't drag on for too much longer. And the thing is, it kind of feels like the longer it drags out, if it does, I feel it gives rise to more opportunities for them to contradict what may have been in the manga, unless they plan to rework some stuff in the anime adaptation when it reaches that part. So yeah, so I think honestly the biggest pluses for this episode is the utilization of Sarada. Like it was just nice seeing Sarada being you know, just coming in with the Genjutsu. I don't know, it just really seemed really cool, honestly. But at the same time, as I said, they didn't really follow up on the whole plot thread from last week's episode with, you know, Sakuya knowing she's a fake reporter, unless the payoff for that is going to come later on. So that's the only thing I can say about that, unless it's gonna come later on. That's the only other thing I could say. But yeah, we did get Sakuya's backstory out of the way, so pacing wise the arc is progressing, and I would go on to predict that the arc, well, not the arc, but this section of the arc may have like probably I dare say 3 episodes. Well, I think if I'm being honest, it probably has a month left before it's done. So we probably have like 4 episodes left in this section of the arc, because they're gonna start planning the prison break, and I do expect them to have like some final battle with probably Benga or some members of the Mujina Bandits arc. I haven't read the arc in the manga for a while, so I don't remember if that would necessarily contradict anything, but yeah, I don't think that would contradict anything. But yeah, that should be it for the most part. 4 more episodes and I think this section of the arc should be done. If I had my way, I'd just probably put it at 3. But you know, it is what it is if it ends up being 4. But I don't think it should be any longer than that before moving on to the manga, because that would give us, you know, chapter 44, is it 44 or 43? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. That's coming out in the next few days. And then if we have an entire month more of this arc, that gives us the opportunity to actually get another chapter in. So yeah, there's that. But all in all, I thought it was a decent episode. Definitely an improvement from 143 in terms of pacing and just the whole dynamic feel and utilization of characters where the episode is concerned. Boruto and Mitsuki, you know, kind of pushing the plot along with, in regards to them utilizing that plan with Sarada using Genjutsu, and of course, oh yes, how could I forget the other subplot with I think his name's Kadama, the other cellmate that Boruto and company have, where
he's basically been pressured by Benga to find out information where Boruto and Mitsuki is concerned, and honestly, it was an interesting probably not interesting. It was an okay subplot. We do find out that the money that Kokuri stole, he donated it to basically like a hospital that has Kadama's sister, and of course in the end we have Kadama making the right choice and withholding information from Benga. And of course Benga takes over from Mujo in the end, at the end of the episode, as you know, Mujo succumbs to his illness. Benga basically takes his medicine and basically starts cooperating with Sukuyo's plan. So the conflict is escalating, and that's good. Don't need to have this arc drag out. So for the most part, this did basically improve the arc. Like the first few episodes were good, I think, in terms of their execution and the whole vibe and tone and theme and the whole atmosphere. But I think 143 kind of just slowed things down, and this episode just really spent the time to actually escalate the conflict and speed up the pace. So yeah, it is what it is. Let me know what you thought about the episode, and if you're enjoying the expanded Mujina Bandits arc in the Boruto Naruto Next Generations anime so far. Of course, this is Andrew Uchiha. Rate, comment, and subscribe, people. I hope everyone's having a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.